Good morning. Welcome to Books at the Bottom of the Stairs. My name's Lorene. Today's the first day of fall and it's coming in with quite a swoop for us. We're expecting Hurricane Teddy at any, well, I don't know, in about a couple of hours. So we've spent yesterday at the camp closing it down. For those of you who are with me while I was taping at the camp, the dock had to be brought in and the boat that you didn't see had to be brought in. Those were both pretty big tasks. All the loose ends had to be battened down and just hope for the best. Never know which direction the wind is actually going to arrive at, so you can't predict what the trees will do. So go in afterwards with sort of your heart in your throat. So we'll do that on Friday, I guess, go see what happened. But here in Halifax, we are just getting things kind of buckled down, put the plants away, a few loose ends. It's not as difficult here because we don't have as many odds and ends outside. So, but while I was doing that, I was freezing cold, came inside, and I thought I need a sweater. And it took me a while to find something. And instead of spending my day doing what I wanted to do, I ended up switching the summer clothes out for the fall clothes. And I didn't exactly find a sweater, but I found a warm jacket. The sweaters, I guess, are all packed with the deep winter things, which will probably be next week, the way things are going. So anyhow, I have a few books to talk to you about that I really enjoyed. I enjoyed all of these. This one is a book that was given to me by someone who gets advance copies, and she knows I like this kind of story. And it's Pages and Company by Anna James, Tilly and the Book Wanderers, and it's the first in a series. This is, did I say who it was by? My mistake. Anna James, yeah, sorry about that. So the cover that you see here will be different. I believe it's out now. I heard about this about maybe as much as, well, probably close to a year ago now, and I think that I first heard about it from Ink Paper Blog, but I'm not going to go back and look for it, but I'm pretty sure that Russell, is friends with the author, and I'm pretty sure that's how I heard about it, and possibly from Jean at Bookish Thoughts. But anyways, it's about Tilly. She's a young girl who lives with her grandparents in a bookshop, and the bookshop is one of many bookshops around the world that has this magical, it's the magic of when a reader goes so deep into the book that they're there, that, you know, the world around them just disappears, and you're walking along with whoever your favorite protagonist is, whether it's from Long John Silver to Peter Pan, or, you know, any of your favorites. So Tilly is particularly fond of Anne of Green Gables, and who isn't? And she's also pretty fond of Alice in Wonderland. That, you know, I don't know if I ever read that book so much as just saw the movie, but anyhow, her grandfather is friends with Sherlock Holmes, and hello, Cleo. Her grandmother with, I think, one of Jane Austen's characters. Well, Tilly doesn't know that this is something that happens. One day she just gets up off of reading, she's reading deep in a book, and Anne of Green Gables is sitting beside her, and the story kind of grows from there. She discovers the extent of this character coming out of their book to be in her real world with her, but also it turns out she can go into books, and there's a number of different pathways to achieve that, and there's a number of rules. Of course, there's an association and a society, and there's the bad guy. Her mom has been missing since Tilly was a young girl. Tilly thinks she has an idea of where her mother has got to, but the adults don't believe her, so there's that kind of a conflict. She's got a great little buddy. Now, I think his name is Oscar, but I'm not positive about that. Anyway, she kind of drags him along into these adventures, and he, in the beginning, we find out that he has dyslexia, but he's still able to penetrate the books back and forth. So that was a bit of an undeveloped point. Maybe it was addressed in the final copy, but yeah, it was really good. I would say that it's not, I'm trying to think. There is an adult book series by Jasper Ford that is Lost in the Books, I think. anyhow, it's a similar idea, but much less complicated and much less fraught with danger. This is a gentle book. It's sweet. I don't think there's the bad guy is, you know, nothing is as bad and terrible as it could be, as we sometimes encounter even in middle grade books. It's all very palatable and, you know, charming. I enjoyed it. I'll probably not look for it. You know, it'll just come under my nose. I'll keep my eyes peeled, but not going to go after it too hard because just it was a little too soft for me. All right, another book that I picked up that's been on my reading list for quite a long time is Midnight at the Electric by Jodi Lynn Anderson. I would have classified this as an adult book, but they've got it as YA fiction in the science fiction area. We come across three characters, one from 2065, one from around sort of just after World War I-ish, and another from sort of 1934. And okay, so the character from 1918, 1919 is English, Lenore, and she's writing letters to her friend Kathy, who's in I'm not sure which state it actually. Wichita? It's not Wichita. It's not a state, is it? No, Omaha. And I'm terrible with that kind of stuff. So anyhow, Lenore. It's done through letters in that instance. Lenore is writing all these letters to Kathy, and Kathy has left the English lands in order to go to America at the beginning of the war. So this is a correspondence that's quite interesting. Kathy is not the greatest replier, and so we really only get Lenore's side of the story, which is about their childhood and what Lenore wants to do as a young woman. And then it's interspersed with journal entries from, I guess it's Lily, and Lily. We eventually find out who Lily is. I don't want to tell you, it's a bit of a spoiler. And these are more journal entries. So we don't really get Kathy's point of view. It skips a generation. And Lily is going through the Dust Bowl. And it's pretty horrendous. Her sister has the dust pneumonia. It's quite a tense section in the book, but it's not compressed in one part. It's, you know, they're interspersed. And the other part is by, I'm going to call her Addie, A-D-I. She's from 2065 in the future, and she is a candidate to go to Mars. And one of the things she has to do is wrap up her life on Earth before she can make this journey, because she will never return. And we meet Addie as she is going to a long-lost cousin who turns out to be the daughter of the story that happened in the Dust Bowl. And so that's a very interesting link. The three do eventually link. It was quite unclear to me initially how that was going to take place. And so the Dust Bowl factors in very much so in Addie's life all these years, generations later. Addie has to make a decision about going to, it's Mars. Yeah, they're going to Mars. And she meets this cousin who is elderly and is beginning to get dementia. So for the first time in Addie's life, she's actually got a connection with another person. She isn't really allowed to not have a relationship. Her cousin is very gregarious and very understanding and really just knows how to work with people. So Addie eventually resolves the past in terms of having discovered the letters and the diaries, but she also is able to work her way to a decision for the future. Really great book. I was very engaged in it right from the very beginning, and I really decided that it needed to be read with attention because it had a kind of pacing that made it it didn't want to be a book that you took in spits and spurts. So I thought this was really quite good, and I'm going to look for her other books. Trying to think now. Yes, Tiger Lily and The Vanishing Season are also by her, and Tiger Lily I have heard about, so it's really worth, I think she's an author to really look for. I've got a list of authors that I said I'm going to go back and look at their backlists for. That's going to be my winter project, so I have to figure that out and make a list so I don't get distracted. I should also say that this I came across in a Horn book back in 2017. So I'm trying to finish my Horn book choices. That's the magazine that talks about children's books, from little people's books to young adults books. And so I have a list from 2017 that's not done, and then a huge one from 2018 and a massive one from 2019. And I didn't even try to read 2020 because it was just at that time impossible to get the books anyhow. So this next book is also from the Horn Book 2017 list, and this is King and the Dragonflies. That is by an author called Kacen Callender, and that's Kacen. This was really quite a surprising little book. The author, I believe, is, I think I'm going to say she's transgender. They are transgendered. And her agent had said, you know, there aren't any books that have to do with middle grade children dealing with gender issues and sexuality and that sort of thing, and that's pre-puberty, so why wouldn't there be? So she took the challenge on, and she came up with King. King is a young black boy in Louisiana, and his brother has just died, just a sudden heart attack while he was playing soccer. So he's dealing with that grief. His family's also dealing with the grief, and as families do, they're kind of enter into a stage of basic dysfunction during those early months and post-funeral times. So yeah, things aren't going very well in the family, but he feels pretty secure. But there's a friend called Sandy who turns out to think that he's gay. In fact, he's fairly confident that he's gay. And the story kind of moves on from that point in terms of what is King going to do with this information? How does it affect him? Does it open up some ideas about his own gender identity, and what does that mean when there's a girl who wants to be his girlfriend and he's not really interested? Is he not interested because he's just not ready, or is he not interested because that's just not the way his boat floats? So I think it's quite an interesting exploration as to what kids of that age do and say to each other, because some of the nitpicking that they do is pretty bang on. And that was the postman. Maybe I got a package. I'm waiting for a pair of shoes. Okay, so the kids are, one day they're supportive of each other, the next day they're not really supportive of each other. It's up and down like a yo-yo. And King is trying to navigate his own grief, his parents' griefs, Sandy's issues around being gay, Sandy's abusive family situation, and moving forward in the face of not having his brother, who was very, very important to him. So it's a really strong book. I think it should be really in every library that has kids in it. I think it's a real gateway book in terms of how a person might think their way through a problem, how a young person, oh my God, now there's the birds. All right, I know that. I think that's 12 o'clock. I'm not sure. So anyhow, I liked this one, and I'm going to also look for anything else by this author. All right, last is Wicked as You Wish. And this is by Rin Chipeko, who is also the author of The Bone Witch. I haven't read The Bone Witch. This is a book that my book club from Woozles has determined to read. They have been functioning over the summer, but I was at the camp without internet, so I wasn't able to participate for about 3 months. And this month, my buddies are having a pizza party, so on book club night, so I'm going to miss the talk. I don't know what they're going to think about it. I was kind of conflicted. There was a part of me that just, you know, kept saying to myself, just like it, Lorene, just like it. Stop being such a crabby pants. And there was another part of me that goes, there's reasons to be a crabby pants. So I just did not like the main hero, Alex, the King, future king of the town of Avalon, or the province of Avalon. I don't really know. It's in the physical lands of the United States, but it seems to be its own kingdom. The politics and the geopolitical stuff, who had boundaries and who was the owner and king or prime minister or what have you of which lands, Wonderland, Neverland, Iceland, just all these, Avalon. I couldn't make heads or tail of it. I couldn't figure out which genre was being pulled in. It's like they were all being pulled in a sense. The Ice Queen was more or less the Ice Queen from Narnia. Some of the ice wolves, I think they're in Narnia too, I'm not sure. So it was kind of confusing to me in terms of the actual geographical, political landscape, why different countries were at odds with each other, why had some gone to war, and I thought, am I supposed to have some kind of insider knowledge on all of this and I've missed something? Is it in the Bone Witch? I don't know. Anyways, Alex is just, he's just a sullen dump of a guy. He doesn't really ever do much except pout and sulk, and I gather he's got some kind of magical powers that have to do with the Firebird, but it's not clear at all. So every once in a while something happens, but I don't know if he's surprised by the magic or I'm surprised because I haven't seen him do anything for how many weeks on the back of the horse. So no, didn't love Alex at all. Talia is the sort of main narrator character. She has got animage stuff, which I guess is like antimatter. If magic is being dispelled, she can do something and that will make the spell not work or go a little cockeyed, or she's able to dissemble spells. If she sees a magical spell, like, for the light, then she can, and the lights are more brilliant, then she can come in and undo that spell, and then lights would be as they would be without the spell. And she never really seems to know what her power is, what she's there for. If she touches something that has a spell, it seems to go cockamamie, but then just half the time it doesn't, so that was inconsistent. She's got a Filipino background. Her father turns out to have been the scourge of the world for quite a while as the Ice King's consort, but somehow had a change of heart. I don't know, there just wasn't anything to make me like Talia. Her Filipino background sounded really interesting, except it really didn't serve a purpose. They could have been Spanish or Finnish or anything. It didn't really add, except for the food. The food sounded delicious, but it didn't really add anything, any dimension. There wasn't really any of their folklore or fairy tales, or their language was there and their costuming, but it really was just dressing the stage. I didn't believe that was important at all. There's about 6 characters that travel on the journey to save the country of Avalon, and they're quite cool. There's West, who can transform into any animal he wants, and then Ken, who's got two swords that are in opposition to each other. One's a very evil sword and one's a very good sword, and then there's, I think her name's Kay or Faye, and she's got a whip of electricity. So there's all these neat, bantering teenagers following Talia and Alex, and they are cool. I really enjoyed them, but they could have been on a bus going to a concert. They're just, and it didn't tie together. So it doesn't get very many good points for me. There are some prophecies that are happening in the middle of the book, and this is the first of a series. So I earmarked them because I thought, I'm never going to remember these prophecies. And some of the prophecies come true by the end of this book, but this was just published this year, so who knows when book 2 and 3 are going to come out. And I'm certainly not going to remember the prophecies. And someone's going to have to do some hard work to convince me to bother with book 2 and 3. Because, if you don't like them from the beginning, then there's not really much point to pursue them. Some of this stuff, if you're better than me at setting aside your crabbies, then I think you can enjoy this. It's fast-paced. There's a lot of interesting elements to the story in terms of locations and confrontations and what the evil people do, how they manifest their evil. And there's both humans and non-humans that are evil. It's hard to tell who are the good guys. Yeah, so it certainly has a lot of elements, and luckily, Talia is never going to fall in love with Alex. So, phew, none of that kind of romance crap in the middle of an adventure. So I give it a thumbs down. Well, I didn't want to stop on a bad note. I thought maybe the cat would come back. She's pretty restless now that we're back at the house and she can't go down to the water. So she's been pacing and pacing. So I thought she'd pace past. Well, I'm back to regular routine. I should be able to do a video every week if all goes well. And I hope that your reading dreams and adventures continue to come true. Bye.